ever since the end of what my mom called my spicy girl phase when I was a kid, I slowly but surely really stopped being interested in what was pop culture. That the things that everybody else was so into. But I always made sure to keep one eye on it, because what I noticed was that the truth is hidden in plain sight, and especially those in HollyWeird that still have, from what I can tell, a little bit of a conscience, are trying to get the messages out about what's going on and what we need to know. And so, though I don't let it consume much of my life, I always spend a little time here and there paying attention to what's going on in the rest of the world, for the very sake of the fact that the truth is hidden in plain sight, and there are people trying to tell us about it all the time. First of all, thank you guys for joining me for another video. I'm Ann Blackwood, your Silicon Valley Sage Sister, here to bring consciousness to the forefront of your daily life to make life a little kinder and simpler. I thought I would do something fun today and share about a couple of my favorite music videos that I always found very interesting, because they have messages in them that I noticed we should probably be aware of. And they're, I guess, little signals to me that those I have been keeping my eye on may perhaps, though others might not think so, do have a conscience when it comes to being a part of what's going on in HollyWeird and all the crazy things. I am, and have never been much of a conspiracy theorist in that sense, but I always discern the difference, especially in the last 2 years, between a conspiracy theorist and a conspiracy realist. The more and more we've gotten through these last 2 years, there is a very distinct difference between those who are clearly going through the motions of what some would call programming, and those who are still functioning from a place of logic and reasoning. So my first example is going to be Katy Perry, and that's because, again, this is something that I haven't invested a lot of my time in, but she's always caught my eye. And so it was very clear that after she had been on the campaign trail with Hillary Clinton, and then Hillary Clinton lost, she was very disillusioned with the whole thing. And it's interesting because one of the things you can notice is that when anybody in HollyWeird falls out or has a falling out or is disillusioned with the cabal, they have a tendency to have a drop in their celebrity status. And this happened to Katy Perry. So just after Trump won, Katy Perry came out with a song called Chained to the Rhythm. And it was a song that I actually used for my dance company routine because it's got a message in there. And you can tell just from the whole video, but especially the way she ends it, with her messaging in the imagery of the hamster wheel that everybody's waiting in line to get on in the music video, that she's running on the hamster wheel and then makes an abrupt stop and then looks, and she's got this very concerned look on her face. So you can tell that was for those of you who don't know much about Katy Perry, you know, from a very young age, she desperately wanted to be a pop star, and she rose to pop fame, stardom on levels that only Michael Jackson had previously achieved. And so the thing that I noticed was, I think part of what actually kept her grounded was her initial relationship with Russell Brand, who was very, very into spirituality. And if you follow Russell Brand now, even talks about the cabal and conspiracy theories, though he tries to stay very neutral, I think for the sake of just not getting canceled. But so spirituality was always sort of in the background for her, between her parents and them being Christian evangelist ministers, to her relationship with Russell Brand. And so you can see that from there to one of her next music videos, which came out just as the vid started to become a thing, she came up with this music video called Not the End of the World. I think that's what it's called. And in that, they have this little message that gets dropped again through the imagery. You gotta be watching and paying attention, where what saves the world at the end of that music video is disconnecting the internet. So I just always found this very interesting through this last several years watching her, because you could always tell that from what I could see, she was very innocent, and she definitely has a conscience, even though some in the conspiracy world would think otherwise. It always creeps out, and I think it's very telling that even before things like fact-checking became a thing, that people like her were trying to tell people that one of the many ways in which we could save the world is by disconnecting from the internet. It's something that I remind people all the time, is that we've become too obsessed with sharing our lives through our phone rather than living our lives. You know, the last several times I've been to concerts, everybody is watching the concert through their phone, not actually just looking up and watching the concert. And, that's really sad to me because you're there. If you wanted to watch a concert on your phone, stay at home and watch other people's videos of the concert through their phone. And so that was very striking to me, that she made such a poignant message about saving the world through disconnecting the internet. Next, my other example that I like to bring up is Brendon Urie from Panic at the Disco. He has this song called LA Devotee. And the music video for this is all about a kid who gets kidnapped, or two kids that get kidnapped by a cult, and they are programming the little boy through sort of watching the video screen. And the other little girl that they kidnap is I don't know if she's aiding to his indoctrination or just keeping him alive, but LA Devotee as a song is all about how there is corruption and illogical and irrational thinking that creates the Los Angeles way of life, and this idea that there is black magic going on in the upper echelons of LA society. And the video more or less does its best to describe the same thing, including child trafficking. So, it's something to think about. It's something to think about. Those who are deepest in groups, communities, usually are the ones who can tell you the most about what's going on. And these people are clearly trying to tell us something about what's going on. And I think we would be remiss not to listen, not to pay attention. And I'll just leave it at that. That being said, like I've said, there's something to be said for disconnecting and allowing yourself to live your life outside of what's going on anywhere else. And so I remind people all the time, especially as I have gotten more and more onto the internet with my counseling practice, spending more time on the internet because of my counseling practice being offered through the internet. I have also been very, very much a proponent of getting off the phone. So much so that a year and a half ago, about 6 months into me bringing my counseling practice online, I made a post about reminding people that they should get off their phones. And why would I, if my business relies on people being on the internet, why would I encourage them to get off the internet? And that's because the healthy thing to do is get out and live your life, move around, have some fun, and have some human connection. Because the more we lose that human connection, the more sick we get. Mentally, physically, spiritually, and that is very obvious. So there is a healthy balance. There is a healthy balance, but that balance is not 50-50. You want to make sure that as you go through your life, you give it a little bit of time with the phone, with the digital, with the internet, and mostly taking that time to just live your life. It's funny because I don't have pictures of many things the way most people do, and I don't mind that at all, to the point where when I practice spiritually with groups of people, I practice with other practitioners who we have a very strict code about not taking pictures during ritual, and I'm all for it, because being able to, so much so that we leave our phones, most of us, just in the car. People know that they're not going to be able to get a hold of us for that period of time we're together, because we're spending that time together and invested in what we're doing spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, all the things. And though tools have their point and purpose, anything can be perverted, anything can be bastardized, anything can be used poorly. So we just want to be very careful how we use our tools, and not to use our tools for our own destruction, but use our tools for the better, for the betterment of us. And sometimes that means using our tools as little as possible and getting in there and living life with our hands. Thank you guys again for joining me for another video. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to check out the links in the description. I have Patreon, where in 2 days' time we will be filming live on Zoom module 4 of my intuitive lifestyle course, where I have a Q&A afterwards. We have 3 modules already up and available, ready to go. So if you're interested in living your life, listening to your heart rather than being bombarded by all that outside noise, my intuitive lifestyle course is for you. And you should definitely come join us, because we have 2 modules left where there will be Q&As at the end of each of them for people to ask questions about all the modules. And I have so much more on Patreon, including my Spirituality 101 series, my Spirituality 2.0 series, my meditation series, a bunch of one-off videos like I have here on YouTube, but where I get even deeper into the spiritual and the practical and all the things. And there's a bunch of other links in the description, including my free clarity call, where if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, I would love to have you. And I'm still taking in one-on-one clients, and all you have to do is either email me or click that link to sign up for a free clarity call. All right, guys. May the energy you serve you well. And let's keep making our way through.